Florida, 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 Florida.
I hate that so much.
Florida. Florida is one hell of a drug. Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
Board games.
and
board gamey things.
Precisely. We are here today, my friends, with a top 10 video.
Been a while.
Jeff, have you lifted games lately?
Yes.
They're heavy, aren't they?
They are.
They're getting heavier by the day.
Yeah.
And that's not exactly what this list is about, but today we are talking about heavy board games, but heavy in terms of complexity, according to Board Game Geek.
Yeah, let's get it clear. We used a BGG scale. Anything above 3.5 we considered heavy.
Exactly.
And before you're like, that's not heavy. That game's not
That's
heavy.
not a hit.
Just move along.
That's not even a hit.
Don't even sweat it. Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
Don't worry about it, sweetheart. Yeah, we're doing our top 10 favorite heavy board games. Jeff said 3.5 and above. I think BGG classifies heavy as 3 and above. That's when the numbers turn red.
Who cares?
Who cares? I don't know, but that's how we've classified it. So, Jeff and I have played quite a few heavy games, and now we're here to rank them.
According to that scale.
According to that scale. There is one caveat. Some of these games do appear on our top 50 games of all time, and they may be in a different order than how they appear today. And guess what? It's fine. Okay? Because some of them we've played since we made that list. Some, it's gut feelings, all that good stuff. And we have made our own list today because we are our own individual human beings.
There's one on here that I've only played like once, but I know it's going to skyrocket. And Jamie knows which one that is. But there's one that's not on this list that I think is going to be on the list, but I didn't include it.
It's on mine.
You haven't played it.
Oh. Then I guess it isn't. Jeff, let's get started with... Actually, do you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, actually, I'll mention this one as an honorable mention.
Okay, go ahead.
Jest of Robin Hood.
Yes. I haven't played it yet.
I don't even know what the weight is of it, though. I didn't look it up. Do you want me to?
Mm-hmm.
Nope. 2.89. Doesn't qualify.
Doesn't even qualify.
So never mind. Ignore me.
I have two honorable mentions. One of them is because we haven't played it in a very long time, but I did so love it when we used to play, and that is Through the Ages, A Story of Civilization from CGE, which is 4.44 on the heaviness scale, but we have not played this game in years.
I played it recently on BGA.
Really? I can't play it on BGA. It's just too much going on.
It's a lot on BGA.
Too much. And then my other that just misses the mark of our classification of heavy is the Prodigals Club, which I really thought was going to be considered a heavy game, but it only rates in at 3.26. So it's really close.
Those ratings to me are... Some of them are like really high, and I'm like, that one's that high?
Ratings mean nothing.
They don't.
Everything is subjective.
It's true.
I think. Anyways, Jeff, hit me with your number 10. Oh, wait. Obviously, we're probably going to have crossover of games because Jeff and I play games together a lot. Okay, go ahead.
This reminded me of earlier. Jamie was like, I'll just give you a few minutes to, unwind after your workday before we film. 2 seconds later, she was like, did you know? Rick, and I was like, okay. Thanks for that.
I did give you 2 seconds.
All right. My number 10 is a game we've talked about quite frequently on this channel, and that is Dominant Species from GMT. Dominant Species is weighted at 4.04, which seems high to me, but again, subjective. Dominant Species is a... I was going to say species themed.
To species?
Dominant Species is a science-y themed game where you are playing as a different species, trying to basically survive a incoming ice age, and you're doing that by adjusting your DNA and migrating to appropriate climates. There's some card play involved. It's a very procedural in the way the game plays. There's a set step process that you follow,
Mhm.
and it's kind of worker placement, not worker placement,
action
action selection.
selection.
That's what I was going for. But
Mhm.
Dominant Species is my number 10 heavy game.
Heavyweight champion
Heavyweight champion.
of Canada. My number 10 is actually part of a series of games, and that series has many parts, but I'm just going to talk about this one, and that is Wayfarers of the South Tigris, which comes in at a whopping 3.83. Now, to be fair, we have not played Scholars yet, and I feel like that one's supposed to be even more complex. Seems like they just kind of keep getting more and more complex. But Wayfarers of the South Tigris is obviously, it's from Garfield Games, part of the South Tigris, which you may recognize from like West Kingdom, North Sea, South Tigris. What do you think East is going to be? Don't know. But anyways, in this game, you are a wayfarer and you have, oh my gosh, I don't even want to explain it because there's just so many different things that you can do, but you can explore the sky, you can explore the sea, you can explore the land, and basically it's like a bunch of different worker placement spots. You're wayfaring.
Yeah, you're kind of like
a wayfarer.
Philosopher, astronomer types.
You're an astrometer.
Scientist.
You're a scientist. We love science games, apparently. Anyways, you are kind of like, there's a bunch of card play, you're putting your workers out in different areas of the board and doing different things. That is a terrible explanation, but just know that this game is super fun. It was quite a learn, but I feel like the more of these games that come out, the heavier they seem to get. But I just love Shem Phillips' designs. I think they're great.
I wouldn't disagree.
They're very clever.
Next up on my list is a real shocker.
Is it Root?
It's not Root. I'm going to continue to pronounce it incorrectly just to annoy Rolling Reggie.
Okay.
And that is Hegemony. Not Hegemony, according to Rolling Reggie.
Oh, he says hegemony?
That's the actual pronunciation.
Hegemony.
But we're going to continue saying hegemony because it annoys
Hegemony,
him.
bless you.
And I'm a troll. Hegemony.
Lead your class to victory.
Hegemony is a asymmetrical game where you are playing as one of 4 factions, whether you are the working class, the capitalists, the middle class, or the Senate. And it is a economic themed game where you are basically acting as one of those representations of the social ladder, the class system, if you so want to call it, and you're trying to survive and do things that favor you and your class. Yes. So, for example, if you're playing the working class, you might want to increase minimum wage so that you can feed people. You feed your workers more, and you're trying to increase the population. Everyone has their own end game objectives, but there is a intertwining of all of these things like that you need to do in order to succeed, like the capitalists need workers, so they need the working class to go and do work at their factories and all of these things. We've only played it once in full transparency, but it is a game that fits with everything that I love in games, and if you've been watching this channel and have heard about all the games I love, this would make total sense to you. Hegemony is a 4.91 on BGG, and that seems really high to me.
It's the heaviest game we've ever played, according to BGG.
This. I don't know if I agree with that, but it's a great game.
I learned it, and I would say the learn and the amount of rules is heavy, but it just makes sense. So don't be afraid.
It's like Kanban like that. But yeah, I'm loving that bad boy.
So my number 9 will most likely appear higher in Jeffrey's list, but that is Root. Root comes in at a 3.8, which am I surprised by that? I didn't think it would be that high, but I guess it depends. Like, I'm just thinking of base Root. If you look at the expanse of Root.
I think 3.8 is fair.
Okay, well, Root is an asymmetrical game where you are playing as a different faction of some kind of a woodland creature, and you have your own objectives, and you are trying to get to an end game condition by potentially fighting other people, playing out cards. Maybe you are stealing from people, maybe you're building different things. Like, every faction has its own little way of functioning, but this is a very clever game. It's a very cute game, and it's really fun, and I wish that we could play it more. I think physically. I think that if we were able to get this game to the table more physically, that it would be higher on my list, because I can't play on the app because I'm too slow. Nobody will let me join their games.
Fact. That's not that's a you problem.
Yeah, I know that, but I would like to play too. But honestly, I just prefer...
But see, you say you want to play, but then you never take your turn, so...
I forget.
Which one
I just
is it?
prefer to play it in person. So if this is a game we could get physically to the table more, I think it'd be higher.
It's valid. My number 8 is Too Many Bones. Too Many Bones is a scenario-based boss battler where you are going through an adventure, revealing cards which have narrative options on them for you to then succeed or fail, and you're going to be upgrading your own little gear lock with different abilities. Those abilities are very RPG themed. You know, maybe you can riposte, so when you get attacked, you can like stab them back, or
what a word.
You know, what if maybe one of your characters is really good at like protecting, so they get like shield bash. That's the basic premise of the game. You are playing out chips on this kind of, it's a chip theory game, playing out chips on this battle board, and each scenario is usually a progression to a final battle against a boss. And the whole objective of the game is to survive and upgrade your character so that when you get to the boss, you have an easy breezy time, which never actually ends up happening. Too Many Bones is one that we are looking forward to doing a much more content on this year. We've fallen head over heels for this game. It is a 3.85 on BGG, which I think is probably low, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I do too, actually.
I think that should be way higher.
I think it should be way higher than Root.
Too Many Bones is, in my opinion, and again, Jamie learns the majority of the games, but Too Many Bones seems like one of the hardest games we've...
Yeah, I think for Too Many
just with
Bones,
nuance and stuff.
Specifically, like if I compare Too Many Bones to Root, like I find learning a faction of Root way easier than learning a gear lock in Too Many Bones. There's just so many little things.
There's so many edge cases and stuff in Too Many Bones. But yeah, that is my number 8, Too Many Bones from Chip Theory Games.
My number 8 is Star Wars Rebellion from Fantasy Flight Games, and this is a 3.74 weight, which I think is fair. That's a fair one. I think that people think that it's heavier than it actually is. But in this game, one person is playing as the light side. One person is playing as the dark side. And it is essentially playing out Star Wars. Like the old school Star Wars. You got all the characters. You got Leia. You got Han Solo. You got the Emperor Palpatine.
Chewie.
Unlimited power. Oh,
this is a 3.7 and Too Many Bones is 3.8.
See, I think there's a different... never mind.
Again, we're dissecting something that we shouldn't be dissecting because it doesn't matter.
So the reason I enjoy Star Wars Rebellion is because, well, there's a few things. Number one, I think that it's so incredibly thematic that, like, you can really get into this game. But I do think that is kind of like... It leans a little bit more towards, like, if you're a Star Wars fan. You know what I mean? Like, you definitely feel it a little bit more. And I just love, like, a good 1v1 game, hidden movement. It's great, and it's unique. And I honestly, like, we haven't played anything else quite like this game that's given me this kind of experience before.
Well, I have. You haven't.
Okay, well, I'm talking about me.
No, I'm just saying.
What have you played?
It'll be on the list later, perhaps.
Oh, I think I know. Anyways, I really love Star Wars Rebellion, and I think Jeff probably talk about it a little bit later. But that's a 3.74.
My number 7 is another IP-based game from Fantasy Flight Games, and that is Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones!
We've talked about this game a ton. It is a skirmish-based game with political intrigue and a little bit of shenanigans and sass and lying and negotiation. It is a fantastic experience of a game if you get the right people around the table. It is a 3.73.
I think that's way too high.
Which I also think is too high.
See, I wonder though, like, are we being influenced by the fact that we've played so many games and it's
possible.
Easier for us to learn them?
I think that's probably true. Again, these ratings, like that for someone that plays like a lot of like Clank and Catan and stuff, that would probably make sense. So yeah, it is a subjective
It
number.
was one of our gateway games,
It's
though.
a subjective number, but Game of Thrones, I've talked about it enough on the channel. Love it. It has a special place in my heart, and it will always be there.
And we revisited it for the first time again during the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like,
this is nice.
This is nice. And you've been playing the app, too.
No,
or maybe not as
not
much.
in a while. Yeah.
Not in a while. Not in a while.
It
All
keeps crashing.
My number 7, Jeff has already talked about, and that is Hedgehog?
Man, that game,
Hedgehog Economy.
That game's good, man.
Now, I play a game called Hedgehog Economy.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah.
Spike the
Rethemed.
Stocks. Rethemed. Hegemony. Hegemony.
Hegemony.
I'll never get it. But the point is, this game I did not think that I would like. We got it as a review copy because I was like, I know Jeff really wants to play this game, and it's an asymmetrical game, which I know that we like, but economy games, no thank you, typically for me. But we played this game, and I was like, it makes my brain feel good.
It is.
It just
is a
tickles
nice
all
tickle.
the little folds inside of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how, like, every faction is intertwined, but the beauty of it is, even if you don't play with all 4 factions, you're still getting that same feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, because it's very particular about which factions you can play in a 2-player game.
Yep.
And everything that you
and
do
you can
is
add
just...
AI and stuff in.
Yeah, and it's just very thematic. Like, I love a good thematic game. I love a good asymmetrical game. I love a Kanban game, which this definitely is. And I can easily see this game hitting my top 50. I definitely want to get it back to the table soon, though, because...
We should play it this weekend.
We should, because this is one of those games.
You need to play it.
You got to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, before you forget it.
We've said it 100 times, but when...
We do say things a lot.
When theme and mechanisms
come together
in this beautiful symphony.
Marriage!
My number 6 is a game that's actually starting to dip a little bit for me, but I still love it, and I think I would still love it with the right people, but I think Jamie's really cooling on this game, which is problematic, but that is Brass Birmingham.
It didn't even make my list.
Brass Birmingham is a Euro economy-based game where you are basically just trying to upgrade resources to get better resources to score victory points by building out your industry.
In England.
In England. It is a very kind of dark board, but I love the aesthetic of it. It is a 3.88 on BGG, which I think is pretty fair. But again, our last play of it, we primarily played this game at 2, so keep that in mind. Our last game was kind of subpar. Wasn't the best experience we've had with this game, but I'm hoping that was just kind of a one-off.
Yes, I think so, because the game we played before, it was so good.
Yeah, so might have just been a bad day to be playing that bad boy. But Brass Birmingham, I think, is always going to kind of float around here. My number 6.
My number 6, Jeff didn't put it on his list. But I couldn't not, because
you looked at my list?
No, because I said it out loud, and you're like, no. This game's not even fully out yet, okay? We've only played the prototype, and that is Galactic Cruise.
Mm.
One play of that game.
I didn't include it for that reason.
One play of that game, and I was like, this is... Yeah. It's so good. It is rated at a 3.86. So if I could, we refer to games as being Kanban-y. If this is the first time that you've heard it, it's because in Kanban, everything you do makes sense. So even though it's a heavy game, it flows very well. And Galactic Cruise
match the theme.
Yes, and Galactic Cruise has that in spades. And it's such a fun theme. And they made it so colorful and just so crunchy. And it's just, I love it. It's so good. Mm-hmm. And I cannot wait to get this back to the table and play it again and again and again. Because good. I want a ball pit on my spaceship.
Yep.
It's so good. So if you have backed it, you're going to love it. If you haven't backed it, I'm sure it's going to become available later. But I could not recommend that game more. I just loved it.
Eyebrows, man.
Yeah, they are in full force today.
My number 5 is another game we've talked about a lot on this channel. We had a chance to play it again recently at Level Up Con, and it just reinvigorated my love for it, and it is from Leader Games, and it is Vast, the Crystal Caverns.
So good.
This is a 3.64, which I think is fair. Vast is a highly asymmetrical game where everyone has their own objective, and it's basically, I need to kill you.
Rude.
And if I kill you, I win the game. And that is regardless of player count. If you play at 4, someone needs to kill someone, they need to kill someone else.
And the cave
and
needs
then
to kill
one
everybody.
person needs to kill everybody. And that's the whole objective of this game. Everyone plays differently. They interact with this board differently. What's really interesting is the board is a player. The cave is a player in this game, which is super unique. I always have a good time playing it. Every time I play it, it just reminds me of why I love it. That is Vast. Did I say what it was? 3.64. That is Vast from Leader Games.
Specifically Crystal Caverns. We haven't played
Crystal
Haunted
Caverns.
Hallways.
I did say that, I think.
You did at the beginning.
Yeah.
What's the other one called? Not Haunted Hallways. Is the expansion.
Mansion? No.
No. That's right at Disney.
Mysterious Manor.
Mysterious Manor. Haunted
Yeah,
Hallways is the expansion. All right, my number 5, Jeff has already talked about, but that is Dominant Species from GMT. Last year, we had a chance to play Dominant Species Marine, which I also think is fantastic. But when putting them side by side, we both
still
agree.
sticking with the OG?
I think I am, yeah. I
Me too.
really enjoy the original game, and this game is just like slightly asymmetrical in the way that like each species has like different things that might trigger when another species doesn't get it. Just, you know, things that would make sense. Like I can't think of an example. The mammals are going to get some kind of a benefit over the insects because of something and whatever. The point is, this is another one of those games where it was like, oh, I'm really nervous to learn this and to play this because we thought that it was going to be so heavy, and then we played it. Well, the first time, we played it at 2 players even, which is not the ideal player count for this game, and we loved it. And then we played 3 players, and I would love to play like a full, I think it's like 6-player game of this. Just think.
That'd be crazy.
It'd be crazy, but it would be so good. And this, yeah, I don't know. I love the action selection. I love the theme. I just think it's super fun, and event card-driven games are always a good time.
Yeah, agreed. My number 4 has already been mentioned, and that is Star Wars Rebellion. So I won't go on. Everything Jamie said is accurate. It is a 3.74 thematic Star Wars 1v1 game. That is, I think 3.74 is a bit high, but anyway. Yeah, I love it. If you love Star Wars and you haven't had a chance to play it, you should probably try to play it.
Here's a question. Do you think sometimes that the weight rating, people base it just off of the rule book and how hard it is to learn from the rule book?
It's possible, yeah.
Because, like, it's not a complicated game, but the rule book is not very good.
Yeah.
Number 4, my number 4, I don't think we're going to have any true crossovers, which makes me a little bit sad.
No, we're not.
My number 4 is Cuba Libre.
Nope, that was our shot.
That was our shot. Cuba Libre is a 3.61, which I was actually quite surprised by because technically Dominant Species is heavier than Cuba. And, okay, so here's the thing. Cuba Libre is a game in the coin system, probably one of the best entry points into the coin system, which is stands for Counterinsurgents. It's a war game based on the Cuban Revolution. And it's asymmetrical. Everybody's playing, thank you. Everybody's playing as a different faction, and they have their own goals and objectives, but much like hegemony or whatever it's called, the hegemony. Everything kind of intertwines with each other, and you kind of like have to play off of each other. The rule book for a game like Cuba Libre is like a textbook.
Yeah.
So learning it feels like a hurdle, but we had somebody teach it to us, so it wasn't so bad. But once you get playing, it's really not that overly complicated. It's more so the strategy.
And
but Cuba's great. We love it. We recently, when we went to Circle DC, played a 2-player game of it, which you can do. We just each played as 2 factions, and it's awesome. It's not as good.
I didn't love it at 2.
Well, but you can do it.
My number 3 is Cuba Libre.
Damn it, Jeff.
3.61. Everything Jamie said is accurate. I do think it is a game that has benefited from someone understanding it, and then having everyone play and answer
Yeah.
questions as it comes along. We are actually in the process of setting this up and teaching it to a friend to play asynchronously, so I sent some videos about how to get things rolling, basically. I do think this game is beneficial. If you're trying to learn Cuba Libre, Rodney Smith from Watch It Played has a learn and play
Yeah.
live stream up on his channel. Go check that out.
Yeah.
But I feel like Cuba Libre is one that definitely, once you get playing, it all starts to kind of click relatively quickly.
There's a lot of little nuances.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Vast, Crystal Caverns. And as Jeff mentioned, that is a 3.64. This game is amazing. Not enough people talk about it. It's an older game, and that's probably why, because people are like, oh, later games, root. Don't sleep on Vast Crystal Caverns.
Some people say it's clunky, but
well, you know what? I think some people are clunky.
I do too.
Okay? So it just is what it is. But it's super, super fun. And like Jeff said, we played it Level Up with some Discord friends, and it was awesome.
It was.
And we've never not had a good time playing this game.
Correct.
It's so good.
It is.
It's just silly fun, I find. Because you're just like, I'm going to kill you. And you're like, okay, whatever. I'm going to try and kill them.
Yeah, there's no getting mad.
And the cave's like, whatever. I'm going to kill you all.
One of the things with asymmetrical games is some people can get upset and feel like they're being ganged up on or whatever. If there's like a runaway leader, they're usually going to get attacked a bunch. But what's really good and Vast is you have one objective, which is to attack someone.
Yeah.
So you attacking them repeatedly, they can't get mad at you because it's like, that's
what I have to do.
I literally have to do this. My number 2 has been mentioned by Jamie. Is going to be a shock to all of you. And it is Root at 3.8.
So our number 1 might be a crossover.
It is not. You have not played my number 1 game.
Continue.
Why? Did I forget something?
Yeah.
I want to see.
No, I'll tell.
Root is a cute woodland creature war-ish type game where you are trying to run around and dominate the forest. Everyone has asymmetrical abilities that they can do. They have their own win conditions, but there's a little bit of intrigue and twist around this where you need to kind of work together maybe with a couple factions in order to possibly attack a runaway leader.
A runaway vagabond.
One of my favorite things about Root, though, is the table talk around the board. I play this pretty much digitally now with friends, and we have a Root chat that we chat in, and it gets real testy in there.
Spicy.
Real spicy all the time. Someone leaves that chat once a day. And it's incredible. I have nothing, I can't say enough good things about Root. I don't know if it ever is going to be knocked out of my top 3. I don't know.
Well, my number 2, Jeff has already talked about, and that's Too Many Bones at a 3.85. Too Many Bones is great. It really is. Like, it is a game that we have played wrong a lot, and then we're like, oh, and we just made it harder for ourselves, and then we played it right, and we're like, aha, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just nice. There's so much variety, and we've played with a bunch of the different gear locks, and like Jeff mentioned, we have, I think, all of the gear locks, and we're planning to play through all of them this year so that we can then go ahead and rank them, but it is just such a delicious challenge. It is not an easy game to win, and I personally really enjoy that. Like, you are going to get beat down, which means that when you win, it feels so good, and I love it.
My number 1 is new to me this year, and it is going to absolutely skyrocket up my list of favorite games of all time, and that is War of the Ring.
That's my number 1.
At 4.22. It's not, because you haven't played it. War of the Ring is, similarly to Star Wars Rebellion, a very, very thematic representation of my favorite movie franchise of all time, which is Lord of the Rings, which is all over my arm. War of the Ring is a tug of war between the Fellowship and Sauron's forces. Each person has their own unique objective, which can somewhat be accomplished through different ways. Sauron's basically trying to take over by force. The Fellowship is trying to sneak Frodo into Mount Doom so he can drop the ring in. There's card play. There's, again, hidden movement because you don't really know where the Fellowship is. There's all of these awesome thematic, all the cards make sense for the movies. Everything is
As it
perfect and as it should be in that game, and I absolutely loved every second of it.
I haven't played it. I would like to, so I'm sure I would enjoy it.
You would.
I
gotta get this. We have first edition. I got a second edition, so we can play it.
That just makes me think of.
We need to play it before I forget it.
Somebody on Reddit asked about Jeff's tattoos.
Oh yeah.
And our friend Dan.
Do you want me to tell that story?
Just tell it really quick.
Okay, I'll go as quickly as I can. On Reddit, someone asked about my arm sleeve, and my friend Dan went on and told this really elaborate story about how it is the map from National Treasure because I'm such a Nick Cage fan. Like a whole paragraph explaining all of this.
And this poor person.
And these poor people are like, that's so quirky and weird. What a weird dude. And it was just my local buddy that went on and did it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But it's all Lord of the Rings.
It is all Lord of the Rings. It is not, in fact, National Treasure,
but
which,
that would be actually
by the way,
awesome.
is an incredible movie.
It
and
really
I do
is.
love Nick Cage.
Sure.
Which my buddy knows. So he wasn't far from the truth. But yeah, he loves that thread. He loves that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my number one did not show up on Jeff's list.
Now I'm a little bit concerned.
I feel like it should be, and that's Kanban EV.
Nah, it was.
Jeff, Kanban's the daddy of the heavy games.
Listen,
it is what I base my love on. Heavy
I had
games
it considered, and I didn't.
You didn't even put Pax Pamir on your list.
Pax Pamir was also just on the outskirts.
Outrageous. My number one's Kanban EV. Okay, Kanban EV is, like I just said, it's the daddy of heavy games in my opinion because it comes in at a whopping 4.32. This is a Lacerda game that we played, and I was so scared to play it. And then the first time we played it, I was just like,
masterpiece.
More sand. I just needed more of it because literally everything that you do in this game makes sense. You're working at a car factory, and then, you need blueprints, and then you need to build the car, and then you need to go test the car, and then you need to have meetings, and then your HR manager, Sandra, is coming and being like, you're not even trained in this, you idiot.
You can't be doing this. You're not trained in it.
You can't be doing the stuff. You haven't even been trained. You have meetings, and I just love this game. This game makes me so happy. Every time that we play it, I'm just like, I love it. I love it, and my love for it hasn't wavered at all. And we got to play it again when Nick came to visit, and it just once again reinvigorated my love for it. It's incredible. Apparently not incredible enough. I can't believe it.
Judge away.
Unbelievable. Jeff and I, so that's our 10, but we also did our, average weight.
My average weight is 3.94.
I don't remember. So my average is 3.96. What was yours?
3.94. So close.
9.4? Oh, that was 8.4.
3.94.
Mine's 3.96. So I like heavier games than Jeff. Apparently so.
There's Jamie.
I win.
Everything's a competition.
I win. Anyways, those are our top 10 most favorite heavy games. The best of the best, especially my list. The best of the best. Okay, we'd love to know down below what are some of your favorite heavy games based on the games that we chatted about. Is there anything that you think that we should maybe try? We do currently own On Mars, The Gallerist, Vinyos. Is there another one that we got? I don't remember. We have a bunch of Lacerda games we haven't played yet.
That's it. On Mars is probably the game that terrifies me more than any other game.
Same. I'm afraid, but also I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of space. If you're interested in buying board games like any of the many board games that we mentioned today, you should first by checking your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that is...
the Boardroom Game Cafe.
Yes, and if you like what you see...
please subscribe.
We hope to see you again soon. And now we say goodbye. Goodbye!
Later days.
Go, shorty. It's your birthday. We're gonna party like it's your birthday. We're gonna sip Bacardi like it's your birthday. And we don't give a it's not your birthday. You can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. I got what you need. It feels like it's over to your side more than it is to my side. You hold your sweater.
Hegemony. I'm saying it right now. Ugh.
Hegemonic Games Project.
Hegemonic Games Project is...
Games
Project.
Hegemonic
Project Games. Or is it Hegemonic Games Project?
It's not.
Tomato.
Host of Horrors. Haunted house. Okay, doesn't
Can't
matter.
remember.